Welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I am Ben. Jordan, go for it.
And today, we have a very special guest on today. His name is Ari. He is a...
Avi.
Did I say Ari?
Yeah, you did.
Can we start this over?
Yeah.
Don't start off like this.
This is
Dang,
horrible.
dude.
I get Javi, Ari,
Avi.
Abi.
Why did I say
Ozzy.
Ari?
I don't know. I don't blame you.
Maybe I am having a stroke again.
Before you got here, I was joking with him. I was like, you okay lately, dude? You seem like... Because did you know he had a stroke?
Yeah.
I was like, are you going to stroke out on me again?
Damn.
But you mess
That was
with me all the
literally
time.
right
Like a
before
good
you
dad
got
joke.
here.
It's like a good dad.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Wow.
Well, you have to ask his forgiveness.
I know. I am sorry. That's so embarrassing.
What am I-
All right.
That's actually not even my real name.
What is your real name?
Well, it's like a nickname. My full first name is Avi Tai.
Avi Tai?
Yeah. And when I moved here, it was like I wanted to be I wanted to be accepted. You know,
Yeah.
I was like a little foreigner.
Yeah.
And it was like Avi Tai was too gnarly.
Really?
So I was like, Avi? And people could like hang with that. So then I just
I
went
don't
by
feel like Avi Tai is even crazy.
When you're like 10 and in Irvine, it's pretty crazy.
I guess, yeah, Irvine.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it. I messed up. You just gotta own your mistakes, and that's part of being a good dude and a good dad. Is that sometimes you fall flat on your face, which I do very often. And you just gotta own up to it.
Well, now I feel bad that I just talked about you stroking out.
Yeah.
No, you should.
Shoot, dude.
No,
Oh,
this
dude.
is good dad quality content because if they don't think we don't like just mess with each other all day long.
That's very true. Well, Avi is our guest today.
Sure.
He
Well,
owns...
first of all, you threw me off because you never have me introduce anyone.
That's
I've
true.
only
You do
introduced
the
my
intros?
dad.
I usually do.
I've
yeah.
literally the only person I introduced was my dad. That's the only person I've ever introduced.
Well, I'm honored.
Well, he was
Yeah.
like, "You should introduce." Well, yeah, but I
honored.
messed it up
No,
instantly.
but you know what? Better me than somebody that matters or that would
That's true.
care. I don't.
I think you matter.
I wanted you to do it because I was trying to pull up this as we were talking.
Cool.
So I was like,
Cool.
Oh, so you didn't get set up ahead of time.
dude, anyways, Avi, good friend of ours. Well, mine, apparently not Jordan's.
Doesn't even my name. Doesn't even know my name.
Owns a really rad company. I feel like I only got to know you in this last year, basically. Like I recognized you. You're very recognizable.
I'd say so.
And then George, who obviously is our token, what did we call him? Our honorary podcastee.
There you go.
Because he's
Cool.
done so
Well,
many.
we have a whole series with just him.
Just
we're
George,
calling it the dudes,
yeah.
and it's like just every time he comes on,
It's the dudes.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
that's
dudes, and then we
cool.
have like episode 1, 2, 3.
That's
But George introduced us. He's a local business owner. He owns a company called Iron Lion Soap. We're going to let him talk more about that. But I just want to say thank you for taking the time out to be here.
Yeah.
It's been really great getting to know you this last like season of life.
Likewise.
It's been really cool because I feel like even though we just met, I feel like I know you more than someone you just met. But as we were saying right before we started recording, there's so much I don't have any clue about,
Totally.
like your real name.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, give us a little introduction. Tell us about yourself, and then we'll kind of just kick it off from there.
Yeah. Avi, not Ari.
I'm never gonna live that down.
Yeah, I moved here when I was 7 from Israel and spent a lot of my formidable years over there, just doing what little Israeli kids do, I guess. And grew up in Irvine and just lived a really different life than everybody around me,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like not difficult, but there were definitely like difficulties, you know, and I think that a lot of that just shaped my existence and showed me a lot. And you know, I like some of my closest friends, they always like kind of say like, dude, you're like 75 years old. You know, like you've lived so much and like you never leave your house and you like have so much experience in so many different things. You're like basically 75, you know? And for me, it's like, yeah, like that feels good, you know, versus somebody's like, yeah, I'm still working at the same spot I've worked at since I was 16, or, you know, I've got this huge ambition. I spent a decade working on this, you know, and for me, I have, I guess, no problem like rebuilding and reformulating and restructuring and falling on my face and starting over, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Wait, when did you move here? How old were you?
So I moved here initially when I was 7.
Did you speak English?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Hebrew was my first language.
Okay.
And then moved back right away. So like I turned like 8 and then we moved back. Then back here again. We were there for maybe 8 months. So I'd like started, what is that, first grade?
I'd say something like
Yeah,
that.
I started first grade and then left in the middle of the school year. Came back here. They didn't let me go to school, so I had to like wait a whole like rest of the year and
Yeah.
like not go to school. And then they made me start first grade
Mm.
instead of like going into second grade or whatever because the syllabus or curriculum or whatever didn't align or whatever. When I started first grade the second time here, we decided to go back to Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moved back and forth a bunch of times when I was younger, and then really just like stayed here at like 12 years old.
Okay.
What was your family doing in Israel?
Nothing.
There's no reason
No,
for
I mean,
going
yeah,
back?
yeah, like my mom's entire life is over there.
Okay.
Right. When we like, there was like a joke in the family, you know, like my dad like imported us. You know, like he went over there. So my dad got like a full ride scholarship to go to school
Okay.
in Israel. He's super nerdy dude.
Like Tel Aviv or
Yeah, actually, like a technology school at Tel Aviv or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
He's a plastics engineer, like super nerdy, smart dude.
no way.
Yeah, and he like went out a week earlier, like before he was supposed to start. Met my mom on some farm and like never went to registration.
Dang.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
What a trip.
yeah.
crazy.
And they lived on a kibbutz for 2.5 years together, just kind of doing the thing. And
Yeah.
I showed up, lived there until I was 5. Then we moved to the city, then here, then back, then here, then back. And it was just like my mom was homesick, you know.
Yeah.
My dad was like trying to cater to her and do what she needed, you know, and be a good dude and give her what she needed. And yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. So when my sister moved here, or my sister was born here, then when we moved back over there, my brother was born there, and then my dad was like, "I'm fucking over this." Like, you know what? Like, and at that time, like when my brother was born there, it was like a really bad time again in Israel.
I'd say again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. It's the coolest picture ever. It's really sad, and like this is how much trauma I have that I think it's like cool and there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm thinking about where this is going to be on a platform, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's a picture of me, 4.5 weeks old. Excuse me, 4 days old. We spent 4.5 weeks in a bomb shelter, and my mom and dad are beside me. And I'm in an incubator, like an airtight incubator with a self-closed oxygen system.
Oh, with the little arm things
Yeah,
that can
yeah.
go in there.
In a bomb shelter, and my mom and dad are left and right of that with like full Soviet style gas masks on. It's so cool. It's such a
Gnarly.
cool photo.
That's actually really sick.
It's so sick.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's sick, but sickening.
Totally like terrible circumstances. Right?
Yeah.
So
Do you still speak Hebrew?
yeah,
Yeah.
like pretty regularly. I'm trying to teach my daughter Hebrew now.
No way.
That's super cool. I see. I've already learned something.
That's so sick.
I knew you were. I think I knew you were born in Israel, but I think that's all I knew.
Yeah, went to school there. Got beat up by like a couple different ethnicities over there. Like did the whole thing. It
Yeah.
was-
Because what ethnicity are you?
I'm Israeli.
Like,
That's
and what's your
Jewish.
dad?
My dad is Jewish from Detroit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's a white dude.
yeah.
But like Polish descent, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those Eastern
That's
European
part of my
Jews,
family.
right?
Yeah.
And then my mom is by way of Morocco,
Okay.
like French, brown French people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Dude.
Yeah, my mom, she found us part of our lineage, and she went to, I think I was like 13 or so, but she went to Israel, and she was like, she was like hyped. She came back, she's like, that's the freaking sickest place
Yeah.
I've ever been.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, we should all move there.
Yeah.
Maybe not, you know?
Probably not. Yeah.
But that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's an amazing country. Like undeniable, regardless of what your beliefs are, what your political
Yeah.
stance is, what your religious take is. Like there's an undeniable energy that's in that country that doesn't exist anywhere
Yeah.
else in the world.
Have you guys gone back? Like, later in life, have you gone back a few times?
Yeah, I lived there for a little bit. Gone and visited a few times. Like a lot of my mom's side of the family is still there.
Okay.
But I haven't been back with my wife and my daughter yet.
Did you go and do the 2 years of service there to keep your,
I have a pretty good story about that.
oh, let's
So
go.
this is why I can't go back
Oh,
right now.
Okay.
And it's questionable, right? I need to like do some due diligence or whatever, but and no disrespect, my brother.
you do,
No.
you man.
I registered for the service, right? Because that's like when I moved back this last time,
Mhm.
it was like one-way ticket, committed, gonna see what I can make of life here, right? And part of that deal was like, hey, you have to like register and get assimilated. We'll give you health care and we'll do all of this stuff and you'll be one of us because you are one of us. And it's a beautiful program that the country has. So, and like I said, I have a lot of family out there, right? And one of my cousin's best friend is super high up in the military. He's like a general or something of some sub. I don't know. He's pretty high up.
Yeah.
And I'm like 4 months registered in, you know, doing the thing. I've already gone and done my like aptitude test. I've done my physical, right? Like I'm gonna go do military service, you know, and I'm kind of like pumped on it, right? Like I have no problem with it. Like I've been training jujitsu my whole life, combat, cool. Like this is gonna be fun, right? And I keep hearing these things of like, dude, you're gonna get a desk job. You're like an American to them. Like they're not gonna risk you, you know, like they don't want that drama with America. They're gonna put you in a fucking office. And I'm like, nah, dude, I want to fucking. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we're at a bar one night and my cousin's friend comes over to me and he goes, hey dude, can I talk to you outside? Da 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 da. You know, I'm like, yeah. And he's like, listen, like I could literally lose my job over this. But like we're gonna go and attack this country in like a few days. And if you really are about this, like you're gonna get deployed. I left the bar and bought a ticket to Amsterdam because my cousin lived there. My uncle lived there. And I bailed. I just bailed. He like spooked the fuck out of me, you know?
Yeah.
And that little stint of battle happened, you know? And when it ended, they were like knocking on my grandma's door, knocking on my uncle's door. Hey, where's Avi? Hey, where's Avi? And by that time, I had already been back here.
Yeah.
And they fully marked me off as AWOL. I'm like an enemy to the state right now. If I landed there, I'm arrested. Like,
sheesh.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I got to like plead forgiveness and then apply for this and all that. And,
How old were you when that happened?
17.
Because I think you guys do it younger, right?
Yeah, you register at 16 and then you deploy at like 17 and a half, basically.
Yeah.
Dang.
Which is weird because for us, you know, you have to be
Right.
18, 17 with parent consent if you have a high school diploma or GED.
Right.
That's a trip. Yeah, I wonder what that process would look like for you now.
Well, so the way I understood it is I'm married, I have a kid, I'm over 35, you know, like I'm kind of useless to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They give me a slap on the wrist. I might not be able to like get free healthcare for a year if I went back and lived there. It's been made very clear to me that I should not go into the embassy here, and I should
Interesting.
not get on an airplane and fly there because
wow.
they will arrest me, kind of thing.
Do you have an Israeli passport?
Yeah,
Sheesh.
yeah.
That's gnarly. Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point they would kind of look at you and be like, "We'll chalk it up to a dumb kid mistake."
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
That's
a long time
crazy.
ago. If it makes you feel better, I remember numerous nights of being at MCRD San Diego. It's right on the freeway, overlooking some points of it. You have Point Loma University, which I had friends at the time while I'm in boot camp. You're miserable. You freaking hate life. There's numerous nights where I was like, dude, I could literally hop that fence
Yeah.
and just walk the 5 north and go home. Like, this is, I mean, I obviously didn't, but there's so many nights where you're like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
Like
This
you're
is stupid.
you're homesick, you're lovesick.
Yeah.
You know, I was with a girl that I thought I was gonna marry.
Yeah.
I was like, what? This is dumb.
I just want to go home.
Yeah. So
Oh, Man.
I had those nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's pick up where
Yeah, that
you
was-
did
that was
not.
that.
You left that bar. You came here. So what did you end up doing? How did you get to kind of modern day you? Oh man, because there's a lot in there. So we got to kind of unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think it all started like modern day me started when I moved to Nicaragua.
Okay.
And I lived in Nicaragua for a year in a self-sustaining home called an earthship, caught our own rainwater, solar power, gray water system. Like it was a fucking dream come true. And the catalyst to me moving there was a business that I was no longer interested in participating in. I had a bad relationship with my business partner at that time, and I was just tired. It was just like sucking the life out of me. And so I sold everything and bought a one-way plane ticket again. And I went to Nicaragua and I lived there, and I lived in the jungle in this teepee, this like glorified teepee, you know, and it was like killing my own chickens, milking my own cows. Like I was the only gringo in the neighborhood. Like I lived immersed in, like, not in the city, you know, like I had to take a bus and then get off and walk a half mile. Like it was legit in the jungle. Yeah. And then it's crazy how I even got there, but we can talk about that later. But, you know, so went there, spent a bunch of time out there, and then just really discovered like what I wanted in my life, you know, really decided, just did this giant retrospect on like everything I've done. Right. And like what things really brought me joy. What did I really enjoy doing? And what did I take away from these things monetarily, experience, whatever. And I was like left with like two things, of all the things that I had done, there were really only two things that I like found passion in. And that like just brought me to a space where I was like, okay, cool. I think I know what I need to do, and came home and had a really good session with my family and kind of told them like, here's what I'm thinking. And here we are.
Yeah. Is your family here?
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's here?
Yeah. Like my immediate family. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, like people that don't fully, and we're going to keep asking this, or going and talking through it. But again, he owns his own business here now, Iron Lion Soap. Yep. And I think what I'm learning too, and what I kind of want to really hone in on for a little bit is you clearly have been like a world traveler, lived in a lot of places, experienced a lot of things. I think one of the common things that we see here, all of us in the little bubble of Orange County, is the lack of awareness and lack of people's true understanding what the rest of the world is like. Like, can you give your perspective on, I'm going to call it, whether you want to, people agree or disagree, but a privilege to live in the United States.
I mean, yeah, like we just started off by saying that your first picture is you in an incubator in a bomb shelter with your parents in mass. So it's like,
no kid born in America has that picture.
Yeah,
no.
They don't have that. So
it never
exactly.
will.
It probably literally never will, unless we do it to ourselves.
Totally.
It would be really cool to have you just kind of like give like a Cliff Notes version of like, you've traveled the world, you've been a lot of places, you were not even born here, English was your second language. Yeah. There's all these different things that I think play a role into developing who you are and everything that you stand for now, right?
Totally.
So just give like a little Cliff Notes.
Yeah, me and my wife talk about this a lot. And we talked about this before we had our daughter, and we've talked about this a lot since she's been here. And it's like, the rest of the world is way more similar than it is different, except for the United States of America. Right? Like this is the anomaly. It really is. We really are the greatest country in the world for a reason. Yeah. Like it's not just like this folk tale or this old wives, it's like it really is. Right? And every nation in the world, whether they want to admit it or not, America's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the real magic, and this is kind of cliche, but like the real magic here is that we like actually have opportunities. We actually have the freedoms to fail. We actually have the freedoms to do the wrong things and make the wrong choices and learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. But then you also have the same opportunity to like fail, make it out, and then crush.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes, learn from your failures, learn from your, errors. And in some places you maybe make the wrong decision, go down the wrong path, and then you don't wake up the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's pretty real.
Yeah.
It's very real.
And I think most of the world is like that. Yeah. Right. And it's like, whether you go to Mexico or you go to Israel or you go to Europe or you go to Asia, like everybody has a main street that looks relatively the same. Mm-hmm. Right. And everybody has their little bodegas and everybody has their little medical system and they all kind of operate and feel the same and look the same. Then you come here and it's like, oh, that's how they do it in America.
Yeah.
Right. You have private businesses and you don't have these government subsidiaries and you have these things that are privately owned and they can make these autonomous choices. And like, that's a very special thing. And the rest of the world doesn't really have that.
Yeah. And I think what I love to specifically point out, because I've obviously had the privilege of traveling all over the world in a different capacity.
Totally.
But, I think growing up in Orange County from infancy to 18 years old, like we're freaking spoiled here, right?
My God.
Whether you're rich, poor, or whatever, just being in Orange County, you're spoiled here. And it was an eye-opener for me just to go to these places as a young kid coming from one of the, arguably best places in the freaking planet.
Right.
And seeing
in the
how
middle of a desert.
Yeah. And just seeing how life worked, right?
Yeah.
Like, all these people in today's world want to say how awful we are. America this, America that, America's racist, America this. And it's like, well, y'all realize like we didn't start any of that. I mean, we sure as heck like have our own issues and problems, but we didn't invent racism. Right. We didn't invent, all these things. What we did invent is the land of the opportunity, right?
And the people the ability for those things to come here and have an actual platform.
From
whether
all
they
over
were
the place.
Agreeable or disagreeable, like we made the space that for that accessible, and
Yeah.
that's a magical thing.
Yeah, and I love asking. We didn't get to ask Guillermo on this week's podcast because we just went over, but that was something I wanted to ask him because he hated America when he came here.
Right.
'Cause, I mean, how would you not? You're 15 years old. You don't even speak the language, and
Totally.
you're getting ripped away from your friends
Everything
and
you
family.
know, yeah.
Of course, you
yeah.
would hate the place you come, but now he freaking loves the United States, and it's given him his life and opportunity. It's given
Right.
you your life and opportunity,
Absolutely.
us, all of
Absolutely.
us, and
Absolutely.
we're obviously not a a podcast that goes down that rabbit hole, but obviously I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
But your experience living in Nicaragua, you said, kind of shaped to get where you're at. Can you talk about a little about what Iron Lion Soap is? And I want people to hear that, because again, like I think for us as men, one of the things Jordan and I want to really be able to do with people's stories is show, like, one, what it means to be a good dude and a good dad to each individual person, but more so also of like showing that you can be a man, quote unquote, in whatever capacity that is and whatever beliefs you have,
Totally.
and be present as a father, not just there, but a present father. You could be a successful businessman. You could be a stay-at-home dad. Like, we genuinely don't care, but as long as the foundation of being a good man and whatever, holds you to that is different to each person. But I love when people like yourself have built something from nothing and still want to be, the best version of yourself or your family.
Yeah. man.
Not only that, is that you take the values that you hold close to you and you clearly inject them into your business as well. And Ben, you do another great job of that, where it's not just like where you go out and you talk about your values and you go home and you're, a good dude, good dad. Outside of your work, you're taking that
That's
same
huge.
thing and you're like, hey, I'm going to be that person, from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. And there's no
Regardless of what I'm doing.
yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
There's no change in that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like moralities and character traits, right? Because we all as men were programmed to be driven by something, right? We all want, as men, we want to be needed and we want to serve. Some men have that desire stronger than others. Some it's like a dwindling ember, and they might be like, doesn't work for them, I think the space in which this is like, how this is building the business and how like this brings it all together, it's really rooted in authenticity and being unapologetically yourself. And I really, really believe that Iron Lion Soap was a gift from my dad, and we had started purely based out of necessity, and the core of why this business was built was because we had a real problem and we needed a solution for it.
Mm-hmm.
That problem was ringworm. Because of jiu-jitsu, we created a product. We're just kind of passing it around to friends, hand to hand, really just like sharing the prosperity of like, hey, we have a solution to this common problem we all have. We weren't charging people for it. Like, it was just a thing we did to support the community we were part of.
Yeah.
One day it was like, hey, we want to buy some soap, and it was like, no, we don't buy soap, and then one of our training partners is a really prolific lawyer out here, and he was like, I'm going to gift all of my clients soap for Christmas this year, da-da-da-da. And I was like, dude, yeah, I'll make like a custom box for you. And we started like kind of going back and forth and really building this cool energy about this project. And he's like, all right, I'll take 500 pieces. And I was like, all right, sick, dapped them up, went home, and I'm super pumped to tell my dad and my mom about this. And my dad's like, bro, we haven't even made 500 pieces in the 2 years we've been doing this. Like, combined, like, what are you agreeing to, And I was like, dude, that's like $5,000,
Yeah.
It was like a huge deal for us. It was the first time we sold soap. It was like a giant order. It was a lot of money, it was super cool. And like, not to digress too far off, but like, we made it happen. It was an incredible experience. And in that moment, we realized like, oh man, this is like a real business. Like, let's do something here. Right. And that whole time, like, this was just a hobby. My dad had his full-time job. I think at this time I was still working at Gracie Baja.
Okay.
And I had an incredible opportunity there. I was getting I was on the board of directors.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. I had a pretty crazy job over there, like super young in high school. It was awesome. And so like Iron Lion Soap barely got any love, right? It was literally a garage project. Like, it was just once in a while we would make soap, we would just pass it around. And then we had that like big one. It was like, oh man, you know, maybe this is interesting. I quit Gracie Baja, started that second job that I didn't want to be involved in anymore. That was like 2.5 years, moved to Nicaragua, had this kind of awakening moment, right? Because when I'd moved to Nicaragua, I had so much money that I didn't know what to do with it. I was 17, living at my parents' house, no bills, no fucking responsibilities. I was a dork, you know? Like it was like, how many more shoes can I buy? Or like, oh, my sister wants some new earrings. Yeah, I'll get them for you. You know, like it was just stupid, you know? And in that stupidity, I started to behave really stupid and make some bad decisions. And then I had that kind of like epiphany where I was like, I need to get out of here, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I went to Nicaragua, right? Sold everything, one-way ticket, sold my car, sold my bed, sold everything I owned. Like really was like, I'm never coming back, you know? And ended up coming back, but fully revitalized. Like I was a different person, you know? And it's crazy because my mom always says like, oh, you didn't change, honey. Like you didn't change at all. You just like really discovered like who you actually are.
Oh, that's cool.
You know? And when she said that to me, I was like, oh yeah, like you're right. Like, well, why didn't you tell me I was like faking it?
Yeah.
You know? And she's like, cause that's your job to figure it out, you know? And then my dad edified that, you know? And he was like, yeah, like, I mean, we thought it was really stupid for you to spend $10,000 on subwoofers for your car. We thought that was really fucking stupid, actually. But like, that's what you wanted to do. It was your money. I wasn't going to stop you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I was raised. Like that, you know, if I came home with F's, my dad was like, dude, are you aspiring to work at McDonald's?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't get F's. You know, like he didn't care that I got F's, but he was like making sure that I knew the consequences of that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
What a cool space that they provided you.
Oh my God, dude. I have the greatest parents. I do. I do. You know, it was, and I think they cultivated this environment because they realized what they did to me, quote unquote, when they like moved me from Israel to here, right? Like it was fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, like we had a couple of Indian kids in school. We had a couple of African-American kids. We had like 5 or 6 Asian kids, you know, and the rest were just white boys from Irvine.
Yeah.
You know, and they wasn't like, dude, there was like 5 Jews.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was really tricky. It was a really tricky like moment, and it definitely affected me long term, you know, but kind of bringing it all back, like when I came back from Nicaragua, it was like, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I didn't really want to come back, but like I ran out of money. Things weren't the plan that I had like set up to go achieve out there didn't really work the way I wanted it to. What am I going to do? And my dad's like, dude, I've been still like shipping soap.
Was he making it in the garage?
Yeah. Just like kind of just
like a little side thing.
Yeah. Sunday morning, you'd go and whip up a couple of batches, you know, whatever. Like,
that's pretty cool.
But like when it never had, we had a PayPal account. We had like a single page landing page. You had to write us a letter. Like you had to write an email to get in order. Like it wasn't this e-commerce thing. It was just this hobby-ish thing. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so it was totally like maintainable.
Was it Iron Line still then?
Yeah. Yeah. It's always been Iron Line. So yeah.
That's cool.
And he was like, dude, we're still making a couple $100 a week, you know, like you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't have a car, Dad. And he's like, well, make money and you buy yourself a car. I was like, okay, well, I also need like some new shoes. You know, I've been living in the jungle. And he's like, all right, make some money. And like, you know, and I was like, dude, you're not going to like help me out. He's like, you're like 20, kid, like get your shit together.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, all right, I hear you, you know? And because I think of how I was raised, I saw the package that he was delivering to me and I knew exactly what to do with it. Yeah. Right. And it was never intended for that.
Which makes sense. Yeah. Is that where you get some of what you thought your toughness, a man's toughness was supposed to be?
Oh yeah. Because growing up, I didn't know what that meant. Yeah. Right. Like I to this day, I've seen my dad cry 3 times, 4 times. My mom cries about everything. You know what I mean?
Same in my house. Same with my parents.
Right? But my dad has no problem telling me, yeah, I'm really sad or that really hurt me, but physically I never saw that, right? And so in adolescence, that mixed messaging, it's really hard to have discernment and really understand. So then I'm like, well, my dad doesn't cry, so I'm not going to cry. Without ever having that conversation with him being like, dude, does this make you sad even though you know if I'm crying? Yeah. I'm a little kid. What do I care about emotions? Right. And so now as an adult, it's totally changed. Like I had the greatest parents, you know, like they gave me a incredibly rare, I still like to believe, like one of one opportunity to, like, I don't know very many people who had guidance or lack of guidance with such good restrictions, you know, like they did a good job in my opinion, you know.
Yeah,
Might be a little humble brag, but I think
no,
they
it
did
sounds
all
like they
right.
set like good boundaries and just let you live within that to
Totally.
figure life out.
Totally.
That's really cool.
Totally.
So at age 20,
20-ish, was like, all right, cool, let's like do something for real here, you know. And I had a couple of side hustles and was trying to make things work and just trying to make ends meet, you know. But I was like, man, like people are really liking this soap. Like, all right, let me try this, let me try that, right? We started doing a couple of pop-ups, we started doing a couple of little events, and just really seeing how we can build a community around this core product, only to find out, and this is a shocker to this is going to be a shocker to you, right? Because it was like, how is this shocking to you, right? But it took probably 2 years, 3 years to find out, like, oh, we're actually like not doing anything special here. This is just regular fucking soap. And everybody that is head over heels over this product, yeah, sure, some of it is based on the quality and some of it is based on the process, but really it's the message. And we realized that in that moment, this product, this tangible thing that was super high luxury, high value, gave you a lot of benefit for a little ask, it was just a vessel for this core message that inherently was just a belief system that we shared in our family that was so attractive. And in that moment, I was like, oh, cool, gloves are off.
Yeah.
I'm going to be unapologetically myself. I'm going to not hide behind ego and pride. I'm going to be fully transparent, and I'm going to become a soap dude.
Yeah.
And we went from probably like a $30,000 year that year to like closer to like 70 grand the following year.
Yeah.
And it was like a significant growth when I like took the veil and we were no longer Iron Lion Soap. It was Avi from Iron Lion Soap, and this is this brand that he's created, and it became founder driven and had this character attached to this product that embodied what we were talking about. And it wasn't just a bar of soap or a t-shirt or a hat or a keychain, right? It was like an actual useful product.
Yeah.
And a message that was relatable and tangible in a lot of people's lives.
Well, back when you were doing this, if you're not into the clean space, which a lot of people are now, but back when you were doing this and starting it, it wasn't clean things were not common, right?
Nobody was talking about tea tree oil in 2008.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking.
Except for my mom. For some reason, she thought that stuff was like Windex from like my big fat Greek wedding.
Amazing.
My mom like burned. I got burned from tea tree oil.
Tea tree oil
It's gnarly, but
super
yeah,
gnarly.
but yeah,
if you don't use it correctly, it's gnarly.
I remember my friends coming over, just like something would be on. My mom would be like, "I'll put tea tree oil," and they're like, "What the?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, dude, nobody.
No, and now you can't open a social media account or grab a magazine in the checkout line and not see somebody talking about essential oils or organic this or non-toxic that.
Yeah, I think.
And I think to answer your question, a lot of that started in our family because I have these hippy dippity parents. You know, like it was always like we didn't go to the doctors when we had a headache. We like went outside and got sun. You know, like it's like, oh, you have allergies, like go snort some salt and run the pot through your nose.
Yeah,
right?
That probably stems from growing up
on a
living
farm
in Israel.
on a fucking farm.
Yeah.
Dude, I grew up on a kibbutz. You know, like some of the stories that my mom told me, I was like, dude, how's that legal? Like, how did they let you guys do that to us? You know, like, dude, she told me this story, and I only learned this like probably. I learned this 4 years ago when my daughter was born and my wife was struggling with breastfeeding, you know, and we like my mom was trying to console her and share stories, and she was trying to be so sweet and give my wife comfort and like, you know, and as she's telling this story, I'm like, what? How come I didn't know that? You know? And basically so the way the kibbutzes are run, they're based on a core principle of like Marxism, one for all for one, right? And you contribute and you get back, right? They didn't pay rent. They didn't pay for food. They didn't pay for laundry service, but you had like a specific job and that's what your job was. My mom was the laundry lady. She like did laundry and then she graduated and then she was like the cook, right? When I was born, she left being the laundry lady to go be the cook. And because I guess that was like less labor intensive, she had more time raising me or whatever. when she, like, during that transition period when I was born and she was leaving the cook line to come be with me, they had like a designated breastfeeder that was not my mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Dude.
Like actually from the nip, not from like a bottle?
some random stranger's tit was feeding me growing up because my mom was busy flipping pancakes or something for somebody.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, dude.
That is funny.
I mean, like, to
She
me, that
told
kind
my
of
wife,
makes
she
sense.
was
Like,
oh,
now,
don't worry about it. I didn't even breastfeed him that much in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean the breast milk sharing is a thing.
Oh yeah.
But I've
well,
never
I mean,
heard
if you
of it.
think, I mean, I'm a huge history guy, so like I'm thinking back to it now. I'm like, okay, that makes sense in villages,
tribal.
and
Yeah,
it's
so
such a
normal.
tribal thing.
Oh, go
But
to
thinking
Kathy.
of
She's
it
got
when,
the
like,
good milk. She's got the good letdown. Yeah, good.
thinking of it like in the 80s and 90s, you're like, what?
Totally.
Well, can
Totally.
you imagine that today?
It would
Even
never
with
happen.
all the
Oh my
awareness?
God.
Oh my dude, it would never. Even if you go as whatever direction you want, left or right, neither party's gonna be cool with
No.
that.
Your wife's like, that explains so much.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Totally.
So I want to kind of go back to though. You were building a business, a tangible product, like you said,
Yeah.
in a time frame that one social media wasn't really relevant back then, right?
Not at all, dude.
So people's
Our
awareness.
first social media account was literally a Facebook page.
Yeah. So
Like not even a Facebook business page, like a regular profile that we put our logo on as the profile picture.
that's what's wild is like you had this product in a time and a space that wasn't common, right? I think Dr. Bronner's was maybe like a thing, right?
No, totally. Dr. Bronner's was a thing.
But that's
They're
about
like
it, right?
Mother's
There-
Kitchen, that's
yeah.
about it.
yeah.
There wasn't really a space where, you can have these really popular influencers talk about how bad it is to, mop your floor with Lysol when you
Totally.
have a little kid licking the ground,
Totally.
right? That's what you just did here. Like in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you used Ajax bleach and
Yeah.
you did all these
That's
things.
just it just was.
Yeah. And so for you to be able to take something that wasn't as relevant back then and continue to build the product like you have, like kind of walk us through that journey.
I think it comes from those core beliefs, right? Like I said, like if we had a headache, you go get sun. If you
Yeah.
know, if you were tired, you slept. It wasn't to take a sleeping pill. Like that's just not how it was like Western medicine's great and it's there for us, but like we do our own hippie shit.
Yeah.
That's proven to work for us, right? And that just was, and it was what we did. And when I had that unlock of like, oh man, like, yeah, this is just soap.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the real attraction here is the voice, the messaging behind the product. Right.
Yeah.
It was really easy to be like, oh, cool. Like, let me just expose people to things that they didn't know
Mm-hmm.
because there weren't these sure. YouTube existed and social media was a thing, but it wasn't popping like it is today. You didn't go viral. Like you actually had value in your content and your things, it wasn't just trendy or cool, or you didn't just do it because it might hit and go viral, right?
Yeah.
And so we just took a massive educational standpoint and really took it like kind of a less aggressive approach. We weren't like fear mongering and tell people like don't use Dove.
Yeah.
It's shrinking your balls.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't our game. It was like, hey, did you know that there's an alternative for this? And it's good for this, and this, and right. And we spoke a very specific tone that like it wasn't like predatory, right? You didn't have to come buy Iron Lion soap.
It's more positive
Yeah,
reinforcement.
you might have walked away knowing something new and learned something brand new and never known that,
Yeah.
right? And that was the takeaway.
Which makes sense though too, because it's like, I mean, I've heard of Iron Lion soap before George introduced us,
Awesome.
because especially being in Santa Ana,
Totally.
right? Like I have heard of it.
Yeah.
I never had used it, but I had heard of it, and but for me it was more of I didn't use it because I didn't want to. It was my wife had found a brand that was relatively clean that
Right, work for you guys.
Yeah. But we were already on the clean living kick.
Totally.
Right? Like not kick, but the lifestyle of,
I mean, it's a transition. It's a
is.
change. It's a real change.
because it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how much crap is not good for you in daily products that you use.
It's nuts,
know?
man.
And you're just always so tricked. We're tricked here in the States because it's one of the flaws we have here of how greedy people are. But you're tricked into these products that you think are good. Like I'm going to use
Exactly.
one as an example, because a lot of people out there that are new to this might think this product is fantastic, which it's better than most.
Yeah.
But Myers,
Yeah.
not a great product.
Way better than Dawn.
But exactly, but better than. And that was like my gateway. I was like, oh yeah, I don't use Lysol anymore. I use Myers. And then, you know, you kind of look at it more and you're like, wait,
That's still
what?
bad.
Why is there still that stuff in it? Why
Yeah.
is it? Why does it have this reminiscent like smell after you clean
Right.
for 3 days?
But it has a leaf on the front.
and it
Yeah.
says that it has natural ingredients,
Yep.
and then you like get tricked into this cycle of,
Yep.
oh wait, you can have natural ingredients and still have X, Y, and Z. In
So
it.
that's why, and that's why the education was so important. We weren't
Yeah.
telling people, we weren't educating people about why Iron Lion soap was so good. We were educating people about why shea butter was so good, why tea tree oil was so good, why eucalyptus oil was so good, why
Yeah.
it's so important to use an unrefined coconut oil. And then we go, hey, by the way, this product that we sell, that's all that's in there.
Yeah, dude, it's
Right. And then you're forced to be like, damn, I don't have any of that in my shampoo, or I don't have any of that in my lotion.
but I have all these other things I can't pronounce.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's funny you said that kind of catalyst thing, right? Because that has been a big unlock for us, is being that catalyst for change.
yeah,
Right. And the general sort of message that we play on is like the shower experience. It's pretty boring.
yeah,
It's pretty like unimportant. It's not fun. It's not sexy. You just do it and you move on with your life.
mm-hmm.
Some people shower in the morning and they get going. You know, some people shower at night before bed. Some people shower multiple times a day, but it's usually just a task,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you look at it and you turn that task into a ritual where it actually gives something back to you, right? It kind of changes the meaning and the purpose of that task, right? And we realize that, like, man, no one gives a fuck about their shower.
Yeah,
Most people don't care about what towels they use. Most people don't care about the shower head. They don't care about the water quality, let alone the soap,
yeah,
right? The shower is just a thing. But if we can break that, if we can break the ice with like, hey, do you know what's in your soap bar?
mm-hmm.
You know what you're putting on your body every day?
Yeah,
Do you really know? Right? And then they kind of get it, something clicks, and they realize like, oh man, you know, maybe there's something to this. And then we become that catalyst for change. Well, what kind of soap am I using in my laundry?
yes,
And what's in my fucking food?
yeah,
Or that drink that I really like? What's actually in that?
yeah,
And you start to realize and you start to look at the world kind of differently. And soap being, you know, the specific vehicle, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe you shop at Whole Foods. You've denounced McDonald's. You no longer go to Starbucks. You're no longer eating processed sugars, right? You're making all of these changes, but then you're going home and you're still using Dove
yeah, or Dial.
or Dial or
Yeah.
fucking Irish Spring. I could go on forever, bro. But you have this moment where you're like, why am I going to Whole Foods and spending X amount of dollars on this organic pasture raised beef
Yeah,
and harming my body with this? Boom, another click, and there's another step. And then it's like, what about my toothpaste? What about my deodorant? Right?
Yeah.
And doesn't matter where you are in that process, whether you just denounced McDonald's or you haven't eaten fast food in 25 years, Iron Lion soap is always has a place in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because showering is such a critical thing, right?
yeah, it's a daily
It-
thing, and
For most people, yeah.
And I think too, I think in today's modern world, I think finally for the first time, people are becoming aware
Totally.
of all these things,
Totally.
right? And you now have this vehicle, this vessel already in place, already in motion,
Yeah.
already big, already, on this trajectory. I feel like, you're just probably going to scratch the surface with what you guys can do.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we've been able to stand on this position of seniority for quite some time now, right? Like we're going to be 17 years old next month.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's insane.
And now you see
selling
that-
fucking soap.
Yeah, but now, you see all the like the doctor what
Dr.
is it?
Squash,
Yeah, Dr.
and,
Squash
and
stuff
Everyman
now.
Jack. I mean, there's hundreds of them that popped
Yeah,
out, you know?
and half of them aren't even clean though.
More than half.
Look, there, see?
More than half, right?
Are you proud of me? I know this stuff.
Yeah, well,
I told you, dude. We went
Yeah.
full.
It matters.
It does.
It
and-
really matters. And then at a certain point in your life, right, there's certain tolerances that you have for yourself, and you're like, yeah, whatever, right? But then you have kids, and then it matters so much fucking more.
Yeah.
Because you won't compromise on your kid.
No.
Maybe you'll lose some sleep for yourself, or fuck it, I'll just grab a quick taco here and
Yeah.
whatever. Like, you'll never do that. I wouldn't do that for my kids.
No, I
I
want
don't
the-
take either as you dudes who would do that to your
No,
kids.
we want the best for our children.
yeah, you're not gonna compromise on them.
Yeah. I love hearing just kind of the origin story of Iron Lion.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
pretty
that's
grassroots.
it's rad, and even just getting to know you now, the fact that, you know, you said you were doing pop-ups back then,
Yeah.
and it's still part of your business model now, and we've got to do
Yeah,
one together,
yeah.
and hopefully we'll do a lot more. But dude, it's been rad just seeing you're still doing the stuff that you were doing 17 years ago.
Literally the same playbook.
And it's phenomenal.
And it's based on really simple core values and principles, right?
Yeah.
Be authentic, be honest, and do the hard work.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're part of a generation that is so broken with instant gratification and instant results and immediate wins that the moment you actually have to put in work, we're like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just wasn't raised like that, right? Like I'm down to work, and if I put in a crazy amount of work and I still fail, I'm proud of the work that I put in.
Yeah, because you were determined and dedicated. I think that's the biggest one of the biggest takeaways from what we've talked about so far is like your drive to
Yeah.
dedication.
Yeah.
Like based off of your values and principles. But if you didn't have the underlying drive and dedication to endure,
Totally.
because like everything sounds great right now,
Yeah.
but guarantee you've had dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hard times of wondering why I'm still doing this.
Add
Why
2
don't-
more dozens to that,
That's
bro.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, why do I keep doing this for a bar of soap? Why should I just go get a job so I
Yeah.
can provide, you know,
Totally.
a stable income for my family or
Totally.
freaking benefits and all that stuff?
Like I've had moments recently where I come home and I'm sitting across the dinner table from my wife and my daughter, and I'm looking at them, but I'm not even there.
Yeah, because you're burnt, you're spent.
You know, and then I go and I lay in bed and I feel so incredibly guilty,
Mm.
and I'm sitting there and I'm beating myself up, and I'm like, dude, why don't you just go work for somebody so that when you clock out, you can really fucking be there?
Yeah, which is going to lead us into our next question of like, what makes a good dude, good dad to you?
I was on the way here. I called my wife and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous. I'm going to this podcast. She's like, well, practice. Like, what's a good dude and good dad? I was like, babe, no, don't ask
Now
me,
here
you
it
know?
is.
Yeah, fuck.
I feel so sorry. If you guys can hear it, Jordan is having a heck of a hard time with our cameras right now, and
Oh,
it's
man.
something that's super frustrating. But
Hey,
good dude, good dad.
good dude.
What does that mean to you?
I think if I kind of geeked out and I sent you some notes.
You did, and I
know?
want to read one of them when you're done. So go
Cool,
for it.
because I don't remember what I wrote. This was like a stream of consciousness when I
Yeah.
sent that to you, you know. And then when you I sent it to you late last night, and then you thumbs upped it this morning, and I opened it and I was like, oh my god.
No, I was
was-
so hyped. I saw it and I was actually confused. I was like, did you
He
send?
asked if I wrote
I was
it.
like, did you send this to him?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. He's like, I sent it to you. I was like, did you send him a different sheet than I sent you? He's like, no, he sent this to us. Like, what part of that do you don't get? I was like, I'm so hyped on this right now.
Yeah, cool. I guess to like super summarize it and distill kind of everything in that question, it's like, dude, a good dad and a good dude are the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just comes down to just showing up and being super intentional with everything.
Mm.
Intentionally listening, intentionally trying, intentionally loving, intentionally working, like just really being present. Like,
Yeah.
that's to me is what it really stands out.
Which you said, and I love because I wanted to really hone in on this one thing you said. You said all of that, and like you said, you summarized it. But the one thing that really got Jordan and I both actually were two things: presence over perfection and living authentically. I think everything that I've known of you so far, it really embodies both of those things.
Thank you.
But specifically to us being working men, husbands, fathers that are trying to be present. And I want people to hear this because you'll hear it. We've said it numerous times, and I'm going to keep saying it probably every other episode, maybe every episode.
go.
But there's a freaking big difference between you being a dad and just being there, and then being a present father with intentionality behind everything you do. The fact that you said that
Dude, you're either a sperm donor or you're a dad.
yes.
It's that simple.
And the fact that you just said there's times where you'll lie in bed 17 years later at the end of the day and feel like trash because you weren't able to give all of you, but you just gave your business all of you. Dude, I hit that so many times at night where it's like, dang, dude, like I was here present. Like my kid didn't know that I wasn't 100% here because I was still doing X, Y, and Z, but I know I wasn't physically and
Right.
fully 100% here for you. but then I just gave freaking 50 other 50 other people my attention at work.
Not my family.
That's
Not the unit that I've sworn to be the most important thing to me.
Yeah, so I
Come
think
home and fall asleep face down on the carpet when you're trying to play. You know, it's like
Totally.
you wake up like 2 hours later and I'm like, that's not what I wanted to do.
Totally.
You know?
yeah, and I think that's what stood out really like so much to us, just presence over perfection.
Yeah.
And if you're in a place right now and you're listening to this and you are a dad or you're not, or you're a mom, or you're just trying to live in a space where you're trying to figure it out, like that phrase and that meaning and the ability to actually believe that, like presence over perfection translates to every single person that could potentially listen to this, whether you're from whatever walk of life, like to be present in whatever you're doing, to be present as friends, or to be present as a father, a husband, a leader, a business owner.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be present, that far outweighs the ability to strive for protection. I mean, perfection.
Yeah.
We want to be, you know, constantly striving for perfection, but I think there's the intentionality, like you said, behind it.
Totally. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think
that's the whole thing.
that is such a powerful phrase, man, and I love it. Like,
Thanks.
I'm gonna keep like presence over perfection.
I mean, it really it kind of is like rooted in my martial arts background, right? Where you really have to know what you're doing before you move forward.
For
right?
sure.
But I think too, it comes down to just like what, you know, and this is a little bit corny or a little bit cliche or whatever, but like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? You know, what do you want to be remembered as? The guy who did everything, or the guy who did those couple of things so good?
Yeah.
Right. And like for me, like I just want to, if there's one thing I could leave behind, I just want anybody that I've ever spoken to or anybody that I've ever had a relationship with, like I just want them to know that I actually cared about them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, I do that by being fully present. So I might not be able to call all of my close friends in one day. Right. Sure, I could.
Yeah.
Right. To say that I did that.
Yeah.
But if I get my first call of the day to one of my closest friends ends up being 5 hours and then I have other life I have to do, so be it.
Yeah.
But I was fully there.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that really, really is a determining factor on how you do these things.
Which it translates to everything, like you said.
I do.
And
I do believe that.
And I love that. And you also said a couple other things, and I just want to kind of read them out because they're too good not to read out.
Cool.
But
They're just notes, so don't.
Yeah,
You know,
no, but
judgment.
you know, when we asked you what it means to be a good dad, obviously the presence over perfection is something that's clearly evident and it sticks out to us. Living authentically is fantastic.
That's a hard one, man.
It is.
I think it's only doable when you accept and identify who you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we all have pride, we all have ego, we all have secondhand embarrassment, right?
Yeah.
But the moment you can just be just unapologetically yourself,
Yeah.
life becomes so easy.
100%. Well, and it becomes authentic.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
not trying to have to
Yeah,
freaking keep up
exactly.
with the Joneses
Exactly.
or any of this crap. And I think, like you said, like we share that through so many different avenues, but like, you know, we're both business owners. We all have families. We all want to do these things. We all are striving to provide for our families. But then having, I think, the background and the constant training in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
it is something like if I'm not present on the mat, which there's been numerous times,
There
dude,
might
I
as well
get
not even be
freaking
there.
smashed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Or it's you make one little mistake because you weren't fully present.
In that specific moment.
Yeah, and then you get freaking
Yep.
armbarred
Yep.
or wrist locked,
Yep.
or someone
Totally.
snags your foot out of
Totally.
nowhere. But one of the last question we wanted to ask you, and it kind of just will segue everything that we've talked about. But one thing we really want is to be able to provide value for people that listen to this, right? Again,
Cool.
whether you're dad or not.
Yeah.
So for you, what's an actionable step you would give someone trying to be a good dude and good dad?
What did I write?
I'm not telling you yet. I'm not telling you yet.
Just show up. Just fucking show up.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's a lot. It sounds really simple, but it's not, you know, and I think it comes down to boundaries, self-worth, being unapologetically yourself, you know, like 2 days ago, I was in the middle of a meeting with somebody and I was like, hey, I got to go. You know, like I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I've got to drive 15 minutes away. And if I don't leave right now, I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
And this dude was like so disrespected that I said that. And I kind of just like, it was a Zoom meeting, you know, so it was really like, I was like, fucking hang up right now, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be kind to you. I'm trying to give you this common courtesy. I just gave you an hour and a half, you know, like we had an hour and a half discussion. We're over now. I told you I had a hard stop. I'm now giving you the courtesy to know that like I've got to go. And obviously I left or whatever, you know, but the way he reacted, right? I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm unapologetically myself. If I'm making this commitment to myself and that is a extended outward to somebody else that I've already decided that I'm going to be fully present, fully intentional and show up with.
Yeah.
Those are my boundaries and I'm not willing to compromise on those. I'm not willing to not do what I say, you know? And I think it just comes down to like, make sure your fucking actions match your words.
Yeah. And we've said something very similar, but I don't know if you know this, but on the bottom of Hidden House's coffee bags, I kind of took the in and out approach because I loved it. And we have a Bible verse, and it's James 1:22. And whether you're a Christian or not, that wasn't the point of it.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a proclaimed atheist ask me this in 2000 and I don't know, man, like 15, 16.
Okay.
We had built a great relationship. He would challenge me on my faith all the time, and I would challenge him on his beliefs. I was like, hey, like your whole premise.
His lack of faith.
But his whole thing, I was like, your argument for you being an atheist, I was like, you're still having faith and believing in something. And he was like, well, yeah, if you want to say it that way. I was like, no.
I'm not saying it that way.
Yeah. Like you have faith in this thing that you believe in.
Right.
I have faith in this thing that I believe in. And we can agree to disagree.
It's not the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when I told him, he actually looked up the Bible verse one day.
Interesting.
And that's what was like, for me, I was like, okay.
It worked.
And he said, hey, why did you pick that verse? And it's James 1:22. And it's be doers of the word and not hearers only, for you're just deceiving yourselves.
Amazing.
And the reason I picked that verse was not to shove it in your face. It's very small, but it's more. And when he brought this up to me, I told him, I was like, hey, just so you know, this was a reminder for myself.
Right.
I don't care if it was for you or for anyone else. It's not to be in your face. It's not to say, look at me, I'm one of those Christians. It was a reminder for myself that no matter what I do in this life, I need to be a doer of God's word, since that's what I say I believe, and everything I've based who I am off of.
Totally.
And not just a hearer.
Right.
Because if I'm just a hearer, I'm what you just said. I'm not actually doing what I say.
Right.
My actions are no longer matching with the words coming out of my mouth.
Right.
And so when I told him that, you can literally see this guy's mind just like going. And I was like, that is such a cool moment for myself, not for him, but it was a challenge. He was challenging me. And again, it was just be who you say you are.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, if you've met me, you know you're getting what you get.
Yeah.
And that is like the biggest thing I think I can hold on to.
Yeah. That's
and
beautiful.
Again, dude, like even just with the fact that you sent these responses, you took the time to think these things through, and just from the short time I've gotten to know you, like this is who you are.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it's been
I've got no
rad.
problem with it either.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, and nor should you.
Yeah, thanks.
But you also answered it in the same way. You said start with gratitude.
Yeah.
Lead with vulnerability. Because being vulnerable is a strength. Like there's guys out there that think that's soft or that's weak. Like, nah, man.
No, it is soft and it is weak.
Yes.
But where does it say that you can't be soft and you can't be weak?
But I also think it is harder to be soft and weak.
Exactly.
Like to show vulnerability.
Exactly.
Like you have to be tough in all other components of your life. Tough mentally and emotionally.
You have to be secure in yourself, because to take your armor off and to show everybody your weakness and your soft spots,
toughness.
That's real toughness. Because I mean, that's like when you see those like really good jiu-jitsu guys,
right?
Uh,
Like the guys that are absolute beasts. They're usually the kindest, gentlest people you'll ever meet, and it's because they know their true strength and they're secure in that fact.
Totally. They're so unassuming and so non-threatened.
Yeah,
because they just know exactly what they can do.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're that capable, like if you're that secure in yourself and that capable and know what you're about so much, and like the person that you are and whose you are and the way that you're loved, and you know how to love, then it's no problem being vulnerable.
Agreed. Agreed.
I love that.
So.
My man, I appreciate you. I love, like I said, before we recorded, I love having this platform.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's just such a cool space to someone said something to me on a
My
call.
therapist never gives me coffee. This is
Right?
way better.
But someone said something to me on a call earlier, and it was, you know, the providing value for people is one thing, but Jordan and I don't claim or have ever claimed to have it all figured out, that, you know, we're the best dudes and the best dads.
Yeah.
Like, this is so therapeutic for us and
Right.
so valuable to us by hearing people like you share, right? And I think that's what we don't want people to miss is, like, no, we're not just two dudes that think we have it figured out, that want to hear us, you know, ourselves talk or see ourselves on Instagram, but it's more about like, yo, like, we need this just as much as
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's what life is, right? Doing the work every single day, building communities, building relationships.
Couldn't agree
And
more, man.
I just want to say thank you for taking the time out to do this, because I
No,
know you're
thank you.
busy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thanks, Ari.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother.
Dude,
You're
I
welcome.
love. Oh man, we're going to put all of his info in the caption. If you're only listening, I think the Instagram. What is the Instagram?
Iron Lion Soap.
It is Iron Line
Yep.
Soap. Okay,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
so it's at Iron Line Soap. Buy some products from him. Support him.
Yeah, if you place an order because you're listening to this and you put "good dude, good dad" in the comment section, I'll hook you up with a bunch of extras.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been using your soap for a while now,
Yeah,
and
cool.
I love it.
Me
You
too.
know that. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I use the freaking tea tree one almost all the time because what was the one I loved? Mango guava.
Mango guava.
Mango guava.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're almost back. Almost June, July.
That was my
Mango
jam.
guava?
dude.
It's
I
nuts.
bought
It's
how many?
nuts.
I feel like I bought a good amount of those bars.
Can I tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was right when we first connected. It
Yeah.
was right towards the end of the mango guava season.
Yeah.
And I think I had gifted you a couple of bars,
did.
and you were like, "Whoa, my daughter loves this," you know. And I was
Yes.
like, "Oh, cool," you know, like just so you know, it's seasonal, you know, like don't love it too much because it's
Yeah.
gonna go away. And you're like, "Cool." And then I think like a little bit later, you'd place an order, and it was like a moderate order, right?
Yeah.
Like an average order,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, "Cool," you know, like he's really supportive. He must not just be blowing smoke up my ass. He actually likes it, you know. And then it must have been either an Instagram post or a newsletter, but somehow you caught wind of one of our communications that this was the last batch, end of season, you know, not coming by.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I get a notification, Ben Briggs, 70 pieces. And I was like, wow, he really did like this
Yeah.
one.
I'm not. I will never be the guy that lies to you. I support it because one, like obviously we're friends now.
Yeah, dude.
But two, you're doing a product that I believe in, that my family believes in.
Yeah.
And three, it was just like
It works.
I freaking
Yeah, dude.
loved it.
Actually,
Hidden House
legit.
Coffee made a bar of soap with you guys.
That's how much I love it. We did 400 pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed. I use it every day.
You know what my wife said, and it's so funny. She was like, "This is so cool, but like, dude, I think people are gonna get over it. Like, it's coffee." And I'm like, "I know, you know, maybe, you know."
Yeah.
Dude, I've had 2 bars in my shower now, back to back, and it's just, and maybe this is just me because
Yeah.
it's like my product, you know, and we do a lot of minty and like medicinal based formulas. This coffee one was more novelty and for fun. But dude, it is such a tantalizing aroma.
It's so good.
It doesn't smell like a cup of coffee. It smells like a cup of heaven's like aroma. Like it's just so
do you have it
good.
on the website? Or do you have
We
it on
did-
your
we
website?
did have it. Yeah, we
it's
put it on
his-
the
it's
website,
his
yeah.
site,
Well,
yeah.
go to Hidden House
Yeah.
and get some Iron
Yeah.
Lion coffee soap.
Do it.
'cause
Yeah.
Do it.
We use it. I use it every day. I use it multiple times a day. It's the bar. We use it for our hand soap at home.
Awesome.
I was using it in the shower, and then I switched to tea tree again
Cool.
since I'm training a lot again.
Yeah.
And
Keep the bugs away.
So now I get both though.
There you go.
But all right, we're gonna wrap us up, Mr.
Yeah.
Jordan. Thank you
Thank
for
you guys so
Thank you,
much.
Avi.
everything.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Avi,
it.
thank you.
No, thank you guys.
And
This
again,
was
we'll
awesome.
tag you,
Yeah.
Jordan, my man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
thank you. Remember, be a good dude, be a good dad.